Francis, you are going to talk to us about a very strange object today, a map of salvation. And what I'd like you to tell me about it before we look at the actual map is where it comes from and its context.
Yes, well, this map of salvation, it's headed Salvation Army Social Campaign Work for All. And at the top of it, it's headed In Darkest England and The Way Out. And it actually comes from this book, William Booth's book, In Darkest England and The Way Out, which is the classic text which is associated with him. It has a sort of canonical status, I think, for members of the Salvation Army. General Booth, of course, was the founder of the Salvation Army, and he writes that book in 1890. And the map that you can see here is actually folded in four and printed in the front of the book. So the book itself, perhaps I should say a little bit about the circumstances that led to its being written.
Well, here, just before you go on to here at the very beginning of the book, on the opening page, there is this beautifully coloured map, which, as it were, forms an introduction to the whole book.
And it's also a summary of the contents of the whole book, because the book itself is 300 pages. And I think it was, the feeling was that quite a number of the readers wouldn't manage to get through the entire 300 pages. And so it's quite clear, it says at the bottom here, that it's providing a bird's eye view of the ideas which are in the book.
So he's tuning into that key idea of so much mapping in religion that one picture is worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely. And of course, this image is actually quite famous. I'm sure quite a lot of people listening to this will already be familiar with the picture, but I doubt if many people have actually read all 300 pages, although the book itself is one which people do dip into. So, the book, it says General Booth has his name on the cover, but it was always explicitly clear that he had assistance with writing it, and the person who assisted him was a man called W.T. Stead, who is a significant figure in late 19th century history. He was interested in many different things, but one of the things that is associated with him is what was known as the New Journalism. He was the editor of the Pall Mall Gazette, and it was actually him who was behind trialling new styles of journalism in the newspaper, and he's actually the ancestor of the modern tabloid. So a focus on stories about people, sensation journalism, interviews, all these sorts of things which we associate with the newspapers today have their origin with Stead and the New Journalism, hence the New Journalism. So that's him. Now there isn't really time to go into how it was that he became associated with the Salvation Army, but essentially he is the ghost writer of this book, In Darkest England. And in fact, I think, his role in it is always actually acknowledged in the beginning of the book, but I actually think that his role in writing the book was much bigger than it's generally believed to have been. It's very journalistic. There are elements in the book which are clearly taken out of his newspaper articles. He refers to the very poor in places as scum and sludge. I have never encountered a theologian or a Christian writer use that kind of language to describe poor people. I don't imagine you have either. That kind of leads me to the conclusion that this is really Stead speaking rather than Booth. And there are various journalistic devices in the book, so interviews with people rather than just bald statistics. So I'll go on and talk.
So now let's move on to the map.
Yes. Well, the map. We need to read the map from the bottom upwards, and obviously at the bottom we have this heaving sea of lost souls who have clearly been tipped out of the various boats in which they were sailing, and the boats have foundered on this rock here, which has a lighthouse on it, which has obviously been the lighthouse is described as the it's the lighthouse of salvation, really. So it's that sense of light amidst the chaos of people who are in the water. So references to starvation, unemployment, slavery, and all these sorts of things.
So this is the present state of England. This is the horrible state that people are in, and they're being helped out. I notice some of the people helping them out are in distinctively Salvation Army uniforms.
Yes, well, I think they all are. The characters in red are the men, and the characters in black are women on the whole, although not exclusively, I think. But yes, so they are assisting people out, and they are kind of, having been rescued from the water, they are heading up towards the city colony. And then we've got about 30 different little scenes here, which focus on various social projects which the Salvation Army either had already enacted or were planning to. So we've got things like the Labour Bureau, obviously an employment service, rescue homes, household salvage brigade, which is sort of collecting, that's actually food recycling, so it's quite an interestingly modern idea. And lots of urban projects, most of which actually were enacted. And then the idea is that after having spent some time being sort of rescued and resuscitated in the various urban projects which were part of the city colony, people would move on to the farm colony, and there life is becoming sort of easier, and there are people who are smallholders with a couple of acres and a cow depicted, and essentially learning craft skills and developing skills which they will be able to use, agricultural skills as well, that they'll be able to use in order to become self-sufficient. So it's becoming, as we look up the picture, it's becoming an image of an increasingly rural utopia that is being advocated in this picture. And then the final image at the top of the picture, as we move up, we can see the sun rising above the colony across the sea. And on the left of the picture, it says British colonies, and on the right, foreign lands, and there are pictures of boats which are sort of sailing out. So the sense then is of these people who have been rehabilitated, trained, given skills, going out to colonise the rest of the world. So that's essentially the vision that we have. And then at the very top of the picture, we have a baker and a laundress, and that's symbolising work for men and women. And that's really encapsulating the message which is in the book, which is about community building.
So this is a vision of a progression from a present state of suffering, decrepitude and loss to an ideal society whereby people have both work and dignity, and they have a new style of life.
Yeah, but it also implies, of course, that sense that a lot of people are going to be leaving Britain and emigrating. So there's a big message about emigration as well.
The interesting thing is, of course, that this object also uses the classic image of all maps, that the bottom of the page of the map is where you are now, and then you're moving outwards. And it's as an object, it's interesting, because whether it's a road sign or it's a map that you're using in a car or it's a sat-nav, you always start from the present situation at your own feet, and you move outwards. And of course also all utopias always start with the assumption that where you are now, the utopia is somewhere over there. So it's interesting that he's in this image, he's plugging into the classic grammar of maps and also the classic grammar of utopias.
Yes, and we can also contextualise it, I think, in the world of late 19th century utopias. That's really where it belongs, I feel.
Frances, thank you very much.